As a real estate agent, you can be one of those people that literally just rides the wave of the day. You know, when the market goes up, you go up. When the market goes back, you go back. If there's more volume out there, you get more volume. When there's less volume, you get less volume. The reality of it is that you want to be against the trends. And the most important conversation is that you want to be an agent for all markets. And this is why forecasts really matter. What a great agent really does is they go through and they have a look at the year and they have a look at that 12-month period and they say, okay, great. What are the months that have 5 auction Saturdays in them versus the month that maybe have 4 auction Saturdays in them? Because a 5 auction Saturday month is going to have more trades and more transactions. What are the months that literally have some weird things happening, whether or not it might be a school holiday period or maybe some conversations around public holidays, which could impact the way that we go to play the game? And what are typically the periods where we don't list well, but maybe we sell well inside of the business? And is that a good time to be having a holiday and out from the game because it's not a great listing period? And instead we need to learn to list ahead of the curve. Now, the reason why this is such a critical thing, for a lot of real estate agents, we know that this year will be a federal election here in Australia. Every year that we face a federal election, we know that in and around that election, particularly from when it's called until the election day, that there is a ton of uncertainty over that 4, 5 or 6 week period. Now, none of it really matters by the time we get to the election day and that's happened because consumers soon return to their normal lives. But it is very, very important. In our previous election, we did actually see a significant upswing in the residential property market. Now, the reason for that is the opposition at the time had a set of policies that were about, property taxation type stuff, whole conversations around what we could and couldn't do as investors and what that might look like later on down the track. Now, none of those policies came into play because they didn't win to be government of the day. The government of the day had no policies in particular that were prohibitive to the real estate industry. And all of a sudden, there was a ton of renewed interest. What really happens, though, is that 4 to 6 weeks of non-activity all of a sudden gets compiled into that next lot of the market wave that sees a huge increase in demand. There wasn't enough supply and bang, prices start to rise. So it's critical that you understand about how you got to navigate and when you're having conversations with owners. Mr. and Mrs. Owner, let's have a quick look at where we're at. We're already talking about campaigns for the end of February and March. We start really working those through. We know that April is going to have some Easter moments in and around that with school holidays, which then leads us into potentially a May auction campaign. What we want to be doing is we need to understand, do elections actually statistically cause us any issues at all in terms of the buy numbers that turn up at open for inspections, the private appointments that we can conduct, or the number of bidders that actually turn up to auction? And I think that what you'll find is that most of the issue is in your mind because ultimately all you need to do is change the way that you go to play the game. You can sell a ton of property over election periods, and the secret is to make sure that you're on the phone and actually speaking with buyers that have got real genuine buying intent, get them to private appointments, get offers from those buyers and get the property sold. If you have to have a perfect set of conditions, no long weekends, no school holidays, no this, no that, you're probably only going to have about 25 weeks a year where you can actually sell property. So it's critical that you start to identify, you know what, I've got to be an agent for all markets. And I'm going to learn that I work really well in November for January and February listings because I've forecast that January, February and March need to be really strong if there's going to be an Easter in April and an election in May. Your job is to have that forecast, give that insight to your sellers so the sellers know exactly what to do to maximize their sale price because that's actually what you're in the game of. Asset, sale price, maximization. How we create that competitive bidding, how we present that particular property to market, and how we bring the most urgent buyers to the table to actually assist them in paying more for that property to allow our sellers to sell at a phenomenal sale price. Get in the game, understand the power of forecasts and how it can make a huge difference in the way that you go to run your business.